defy the odds stories can we take in 3 days?
And this is a big one because we're here with Judy Vlach. Did I say your last name correctly? Vlach. Okay, I did not say her last name correctly. And your daughter is Brianna. She's 7 years old, and her syndrome is so rare that how many cases are there in the world?
At this time, there's 24 documented cases in the world.
24 kids in the entire world. And she is the oldest surviving. Is that right? Or one of?
Actually, there's a couple older than her, but there's only about 3 or 4 that have survived at infancy.
At 7 years old.
Yes,
wow.
ma'am.
And it's just unbelievable. Take us back to NICU because she was born at 34 weeks, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Brianna everything was going fine, and then I did have her at 34 weeks, and she went to NICU, but we did not anticipate any problems. Initially, all tests went well, and then 4 days afterwards, Brianna began to have severe apnea spells where she would stop breathing. They were able to resuscitate her, but they began to run even more extensive tests than the average test. And before we knew it, we had a neurologist and a geneticist and many other specialists because the tests did show that Brianna had hydrocephalus and undeveloped cerebellum and other parts of the brain, and that she probably would have some problems along the way.
What was your reaction to this when you found out this news?
At first, we were really taken by it because during my pregnancy, we had planned to have nothing was wrong, normal, healthy child. And at first, I think it was like denial. And then you kind of go in, okay, now what do I do? And you really don't know. You have a 3-pound, 14-ounce child in front of you with so many tubes that you're unable to actually see your child. And then you get all these initial reports that something's wrong. And it's hard on the whole family, my parents, everybody. It was just really hard on us.
Did they let you take her home and care for her on your own, or did she stay here for a long time when they were trying to figure out the diagnosis?
We actually did stay here for 2 months. After a month of just severe apnea spells and unable to find the problem is Brianna was trached, and then we got a G-tube for failure to thrive and poor nutritious status. And after 2 months, then we were able to take her home. We did get training through here. We got CPR training. They have a family room where you can actually go and stay for 2 or 3 nights. And the nurses will come in and help you so you get used to taking care of the child on your own if you need them. And that was really helpful to us.
So at home you had this newborn daughter that had a feeding tube, a trach, all of this stuff on top of you know how scary it is just to take care of a newborn.
Yeah.
And then all of these medical things that you had to do on your own at home.
Yeah, and I think one of the scariest things when you say that, it reminds me of, all this equipment comes with them, all these machines that just beep and we don't know why. And, I think she came home with like 3 or 4 machines through her home agency, and that was also, all these wires are going off. And of course, as a worried mother, I think I stayed up like the first week and just watched, her numbers and her saturation and her heart rate because I was just so worried. And Brianna actually did have recurring problems, and 4 days after we were home, we actually lost Brianna in our home, and I resuscitated her, and the ambulance came, and we were in here for a week, and then that kind of started a whole year of just being in St. John's and up in ICU, and just working really closely with a lot of doctors because we did not know what the problem was at this time.
I mean, what was that moment like when you thought you had lost your daughter and you were at home when it happened?
I actually, we couldn't find a pulse on her, and it was my mom, my dad, and I at the time, and my mom and I just came back from the doctor and everything was fine. So my mom and I think initially were just in shock at first, and then I started CPR. My mom held her, and then my dad called, and we were really blessed because we live at I was at my parents' house, and they live out in the country, and the ambulance just happened to be passing on 29. And they came back and they brought her in, and it was just scary. It was, what do I do with this 3-pound child who has to resuscitate? And I have to be honest, when I got here, even the moment we got here, they had, child life specialists with us and helping us cope with it, and doctors were there, and it was a really scary moment for our whole family.
Yeah.
We really weren't sure what to do at that point.
And then at that point, when was the diagnosis of 18 months? Because they didn't expect her to live past that, right?
No, it wasn't actually until 6 months later that Brianna was diagnosed with Marshall Smith. Through our geneticist, he had put in her characteristics, and because it's so rare, there's actually no gene to coordinate, but he did research, and through her characteristics, we found out that she had Marshall Smith, and the life expectancy is only 18 months, actually, for Brianna, and she turned 7 in September.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
And Dr. Schneider, when actually he handed us a lot of the reports and information on it, and he was so supportive, and he said, we don't want you to get upset about, the odds or the numbers here, and we decided from that day that we'd take each day as we could, and that we wouldn't say, whew, we made another day, but we would say, okay, great, what did we do today that we can do tomorrow? And we really live each day for what it is.
Yeah.
Well, you must be doing something right,
To get to 7 years.
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
And she has numerous therapies that she would come here for then still, right?
Absolutely. We came through St. John's for speech and even physical and occupational as well.
So you've been in a variety of departments in this hospital and seen the great things that the doctors and the specialists and the therapists do here.
Absolutely. We've been everywhere from clinics to emergency rooms to wheelchair fittings to therapy to ICUs. In ICU, we've been in as MRIs, CAT scans. We've been in as patients for weeks with pneumonia and RSV, which is deadly for us. Actually, most children with her syndrome don't survive those things, and she has. So yeah, we've been here in a lot of capacities. So
Are there any doctors or nurses in particular that you'd like to thank?
oh,
We'll give you the mic for about 5 or 6 minutes
Yeah.
now if you need it. It's all you.
Really, you would need it because of the time. Right now, Brianna has about 25 specialists that work with her, and we're appreciative for all of them. But most, her Dr. Lake is her pediatrician, and we just really, really thank her. One thing about St. John's is they coordinate care so well together, and they just outreach and pull together a great team. And Dr. Lake is kind of our hub for that. And NICU, obviously, I really thank them. And Cheryl was her private primary nurse, and she took such great care of her and all the nurses in St. John's. Even when I come up here to volunteer now, and I come in, and they automatically say, how's Brianna? So every nurse that's ever helped Brianna and every doctor, we really appreciate everything they do for us.
One thing about families like yours and other families we met, Dina, is you just know the gift of life, that take each day as a blessing and a gift. So,
Absolutely.
well, Judy, I know it takes a lot to tell that story, so we just
Thank
want to say
you
thanks
so
for coming
much.
on air.
Thank you
And
for
give our
letting me
best to
come.
your family.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.